days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, you give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.
Effective law enforcement. Under Joe Biden, we've seen the movement to defund the police, leaving communities like the one I grew up in devastated and ravaged by a wave of violent crime that we have not seen literally in 5 decades.
Actually, Senator, as you probably know, the latest stats on violent crime and on the murder rate, they're actually down this past year. But let me get back to my question about the Supreme Court's decision.
Well, let's take a look at let's take a look at those crime rates. We've seen over 4,000 shootings just in the city of Chicago. We've seen a spike in violent crime. It's nice to see something plateau, but the fact of the matter is simple. Under Joe Biden, neighborhoods like the ones I grew up in have never been ravaged. Grandmothers,
but back
like
to
the one that raised me, are trapped in their houses from the time the sun goes down until it comes up again.
But the question is, why are they lying? If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. That was Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's propaganda chief. Tell a lie big enough, keep repeating it. So if you notice, and there's always got to slip Chicago in there. Chicago ain't even in the top 10 most dangerous cities. And they've done something slick, right? So they have, since we've been talking about Anchorage, Alaska, now there are these new studies out that put Memphis #1, not Anchorage, right? So let's talk about this for a second. According to the FBI, violent and property crime, because that's what we really are about, the policing of property, which used to also be black bodies, down a whopping 49%. 49%, that's almost 50%. It's the largest decrease. The largest decreases in robbery, 74%. Aggravated assault, 39%. Manslaughter, down 34%. This according to the FBI. So that's a lie. Now, if you happen to live in a crime-ridden area, you don't believe it. So it feels right. And if you don't live in a crime-ridden area, you would imagine that Chicago and Detroit are just, whoa, it's just scary. It's scary. Who can live there? Shout out to Chicago, one of the most beautiful cities in the summertime. Y'all enjoying your happy lives. But those mass shootings happen in places like Columbine, right? Place I ain't never heard of. Parkland, they just destroyed the school recently, the Parkland, Florida school where those babies were shot. Uvalde, Texas. Sandy Hook. We don't hear about it in Chicago and Detroit, but they got Chicago and Detroit in their mouths all the time. Why is that? Why is that? Why is Chicago? Tim Scott, you should be ashamed of yourself on so many levels. So many levels, especially not getting that surgery to raise those gums. That should have been on your list, sir. Got enough money now. Go ahead and do that.
Rim shot.
Yep. 866-801-8255. Yes, it's an ad hominem attack. But that's how disgusted I am by that man. I tend to not do that, but I feel like his ugliness is just pouring out of every corpuscle of his body. It's just ugly. The lying, and he has to know he's lying. He knows he's lying. But there's a script, and it says crime, 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 Chicago, crime, 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 Detroit, black people who scared, tough on crime. So, and in this documentary, and I do ask everyone to watch it. It's called Power. It's on Netflix. Not the 50 Cent bullcrap. The actual documentary that goes through the history of policing all the way back to the enslaved codes, the black codes. And even as we're talking about property, right? Think about this. There were covenant laws, right? And the covenant laws wasn't really about, race mixing. It was to keep black people in a place so that they can continue to police them. How easy is it if you shove everybody into one area and then you criminalize that area and then with laws and then you police that area? Now what happens? Disproportionately, those people go to jail. But if they're scattered all over, how do we gather black people? And I've said this before, talk about Detroit, Chicago, whatever. Think about any neighborhood in the country, major highway, tanks can roll in, not the suburbs. So that's by design. They designed the cities, the major cities in this country were designed by somebody that I read and watched a documentary about, didn't like black people very much, has some very complicated views on race. So do you think how these cities were designed was an accident? Now let's get to the facts. As I just mentioned, crime is down 49%. 49%. If you tell a lie big enough and you keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. So imagine if Goebbels, Hitler's propaganda chief, was able to spread lies in the 1930s. How effective is it today with Twitter and TikTok and Facebook, deep fakes and technology? How much more effective is it when people don't trust the news because they've eroded that? Fake news, 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 fake news. And then the news didn't help itself by running after the same person that's calling you fake. So you created your own demise by giving this man all the attention in the world and giving him billions of dollars of free advertising, and then he destroyed you. So you have no credibility. Dummies. That's what you did. Instead of sticking to the facts and not giving air to lies. But the lies were bringing in money because you're struggling, and you're struggling because you lie. You're struggling because you don't have any good reporting. You're struggling because you don't have any integrity. But then the fact that you don't have any integrity creates the environment for you to be, it's a circle jerk. You are Ouroboros. Eating yourself, eating your own ass. That's what you're doing. The facts. Crime is down. Here are the facts. The facts are the worst cities in the country, the most dangerous. Number 1, Memphis, Tennessee, 64% black. Number 2, Anchorage, Alaska, 64.1% white. Albuquerque, New Mexico, 50% Hispanic, 34% white. Albuquerque. Lubbock, Texas, 57% white. 4th most dangerous city in America, 9% black. Number 5, Little Rock, Arkansas. Now that's a complicated because they put Little Rock, North Little Rock, and Conway all at number 5. Little Rock is 47% white, 41% black. North Little Rock is 45% white, 43% black, and Conway is 71% white. At number 6 is Shreveport, Louisiana. Bakersfield, California. Bakersfield doesn't sound like a very black place. At number 8, Salt Lake City, Utah. Damn it, there ain't hardly any people there. How y'all got crime? Nobody's talking about it. Detroit and Chicago. Now, Fox has released a new report that has Bessemer, Alabama, the most dangerous city, followed by Memphis, followed by St. Louis, and then Detroit, which I don't trust this, though. I don't trust this. How are you gathering your information? And it's wild to me, since we have identified Anchorage, Alaska as being a very dangerous place. Now, all of a sudden, there's new reports out that has Detroit and St. Louis and other places in the mix. Now, I'm sure Memphis probably is in there on all this. But we live in a world where, unfortunately, the veracity of the information that we consume can't be, checked. It just can't be, because we are lazy and we take whatever's coming on our phone, like I just did with Noam Chomsky. Now, he is in hospice in Brazil, but it came across my timeline and I opened my mouth and said it, but then I had to pull it back because it was not true. So we have to at least have enough integrity to correct ourselves. And the fact that Tim Scott put his foot on the gas after he was corrected tells you that he does know the truth. But he's going to overshout the man to repeat the lie, because that's on his script. Because he wants to be vice president or secretary of stupidity. I don't know what office they have for him, but I'm sure secretary of teeth and gums. I don't know what office they're going to have for him, but there we go. There we go.
My days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, right at you. You give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.